today, the Premier, as you might have picked up from our news, the Premier updating, I suppose, the people of Gauteng with regards to some of the progress that they have made as the leadership of Gauteng in terms of the priorities that they've put forward in terms of the challenges that they want to deal with regarding the CBD, the crime, among others, and the issue of water, the issue of crime, generally speaking, in the province. Also, the Premier announcing a second installment of Nasi Spani program, which he says that it will be launched in June. But to give us the details in some of, with regards to some of the key areas that the Premier spoke about, we are joined by the spokesperson for the provincial government in Gauteng, Vuyo Mhaga. Vuyo, nice talking to you, my brother. It's been a while. How are you?
No, thanks, Robin. How are you?
Super duper, man. Super duper. Just give us the key elements of what the Premier was saying to the people of Gauteng.
Well, basically, it was a report back from the EXCO. So there were a couple of issues that were engaged there. First is obviously to report back to people of Gauteng that there was an ethics report that the EXCO actually agreed to accept it, and then actually now they are at an execution phase. Then they'll go back to the team that has been developing that to make sure that that is done. We are noting some good progress in terms of the 450 criminals that have been looked after. I mean, that have been sorted, that has really been causing a lot of crime in Gauteng, like your CIT, cash in transit, and very, very dangerous criminals. So you've got about 150 that others were apprehended, and obviously, unfortunately, others will have then passed away. Then we went back to the Nasi Spani, the second part of it. There's been a lot of conversation behind the scenes with the Department of Labor and to basically bring back the program to light. So we are looking to target the Youth Month to make sure that we kickstart that particular project that is coming through. There is also to reaffirm some of the Judge President view that I think let's go through the mediation when we deal with litigation, because we spend a lot of money in courts and we waste a lot of time on issues that really can be conversed differently. So the executive feels that we need to support that particular work. It will obviously save us money, and also it will then deal with some of the other issues. Some of the issues that we'll have dealt with just as a conclusion is about some of the workers that are doing business with the state. Mainly really it will be teachers, either they are part of the SGB, therefore they will have to be paid and it reflects differently. So I'm saying that's a preliminary as we read from education, but there will be a detailed work in terms of that, as well as in terms of the lifestyle audit, where we then said those executives, the senior managers who are actually been found wanting, then they've been given to then further explain themselves. So basically it was a really range of issues.
Let's go back to the issue of Nasi Spani, because it is important. Young people are unemployed, particularly between the ages of 15 and 35 in particular. That's where the big numbers are. And this is an opportunity for young people, I'm sure parents who are listening to our conversation thinking, oh, there is a second phase. They would like to get more details, practical details as to how they can get involved in terms of exposing themselves to available opportunities.
No, what we'll have done, but if you remember, last year we'll have then said to the residents of Gauteng, please go to a nearest school where you can actually do the registration. So I've opened like that period for about 2 days, where people can go to their nearest school and then started to apply. So that number gave us about 532,000 of the people that are in our database. So our conversation, obviously with the Department of Labor and all other programs, including the EPWPs and all that, is that let's use that database so that we then don't go back to people of Gauteng and say, apply again. They've already done that. Let's make sure that we then start mining and working that database backwards. It would be nice, obviously, if some of those in that database will have already got some employment somewhere, then it actually gives us a space. So how we're going to then do, we're going to work on that database that we have already informed people of Gauteng that we wanted them to register. They've already done that work. Now is to make sure that we plug them.
So the required skill set, are you convinced that you may have enough in the database?
No, I think they've actually cleaned that database to really get quite different type of skill sets. And they're not really complicated on issues, Brati, that that need a bit of complicated skill, but there are issues that we need. So, I mean, me and you will have complained, either be stuck in the traffic, about the traffic light. The Premier says, why can't you train someone to say how to fix the traffic light? If you've got a problem with potholes along Gauteng, why can't you use young people to basically do this thing? You've got about 150, I think, a million, I'll just double check the figures, that has been dedicated to fix the roads of Gauteng. So why can't you use these young people on these small issues that we're complaining about, including the issue of maintenance, plumbers, and all these things in hospitals. So you've got young people that are looking for work. And the work that, in terms of from a service delivery point, is not that complicated. So why don't you match the two?
Have you properly budgeted for it? Because at some point we are told of gremlins in the system that people have not been paid and all of that.
Yes, one of the issues that we had engaged on was exactly that, to say where do we deal with that. So that's why we've been in conversation with the colleagues at the Department of Labour, because you'll know that they've got the money from UIF and all that. And that's how at the latter years, if you remember, we had partnered with the Department of Labour to make sure that they're basically able to assist us. We will then be able to assist them with the logistics and all that, because I think we cannot, at this given time, as the province, from our own fiscus, to really carry the program the manner that we did in the previous financial year. And we are quite happy now that those conversations are there, there's been budgeting for it and all that. And of course, the EPWP is the spending budget that comes. Our is to really make sure that it's meaningful when it arrives to us, what kind of jobs we are providing.
The Premier also spoke about cleaning the metros, crime, among others, hijacked buildings and all of that. How have you guys prepared yourself for this monumental task? Because people want to see results, not to hear about the plans.
No, we're quite actually pleasantly surprised. One of the journalists actually confessed that I drove in the city of Tshwane. It was very clean, very beautiful, and we're quite happy that the work is also done in that particular end. Today again, the city of Tshwane has been speaking about the hijacked buildings. In Johannesburg, we've already got 12 hijacked buildings from the people that have hijacked it. We are in conversation, obviously, with some of the property developers and some of the people. How do you then revamp those hijacked buildings to make sure that they are building? So the work is being done, Brati, and there's been great work that is done also from the Provincial team that has actually came in in Johannesburg. And the view of the Premier is that team must possibly assist us in other CBDs, not necessarily in Johannesburg. So the work is being done. Obviously, over a period of time, you'll then able to see. We're speaking now with the colleagues that we might need to start picking up a conversation about robots, because we are starting them to see them being fixed, and the time that we're spending on the road is being minimized. And my view is that maybe give it about another month or so that we're able to speak about things that people really do feel that there's been a change. So the work is done. I think what is important is the impact that people do feel on the ground.
On a separate note, I hope you won't mind me asking you this question. We spoke to Action SA's Gauteng Provincial chairperson. He says that there is a building that you guys are paying 2.9 million rands for, and all that 5-story building does is photocopying, for photocopying purposes. Is it something that you know? Because on the other hand, we are told you've abandoned, as a provincial government, 41 buildings, and yet you are paying 2.9 million rands for a 5-story building whose value is just photocopying.
No, I'll engage with colleagues at the Department of Infrastructure and possibly also with the leadership of Action SA, just to understand where are those partner buildings. As you'll understand, the Premier
they said 55 Fox Street in the CBD.
I'll check it. I'm not in the preview of that as I'm talking to you, but safe to say the Premier has already appointed the forensic. So if there's been a deliberate wastage within the system so that it can benefit some other people, I think if the Premier has given the forensic team 2 months to give them the report. And as you'll know, we'll always come back to you and to say, here's the outcome of the report and this is what we're doing about it. But on this one, I'll make sure that we deal with it. Maybe the colleagues, your producer, I can always speak to him to say,
Beautiful.
I got the details of this building. Let me basically report back to you.
Okay, good stuff. But yeah, it's quite simple. 55 Fox Street. Apparently, that's where the building is.
Thank you very much for the
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Vuyo Mhaga there, spokesperson for the provincial government in Gauteng, also giving us a sense of what the Premier spoke about today, while giving feedback on some of the key areas that he has identified that needs our attention, as well as that issue of a 5-story building whose purpose apparently is just for photocopying purposes, and yet the provincial government is paying 2.9 million rands every month for that particular building, while the same provincial government has abandoned 41 buildings that they own.